Greetings gamers, ex-gamers and friends and family of gamers. So day 19 happened and nothing that I can categorically say was a withdrawal symptom. I felt a tiny bit of frustration with my wife and I yelled at my son, but to be fair, I had a lot on my mind at the time which had nothing to do with gaming, and my son was on another floor of the house, so I had to yell in order to be heard. Actually, I think I also snapped at him one time when he was in the same room, but that was in retaliation for him snapping at me. That's no excuse. He's a hormonal, angst-ridden teenager obeying his basic biology. I have no such excuse. Now, despite the fact that I'm on a diet, not on a diet, and perhaps because my brain knows that I'm planning on going on a diet in February, I'm getting really crazy cravings. All day long yesterday, this was on my mind. I saw it about a week ago and I thought, oh no, there's no way I could eat anything like that. It's disgusting. But then the cravings have been growing steadily in strength until now. It's just about all I can think of. I'm not even on a diet and I'm getting food cravings. The worst thing is, everything I've learned about addiction tells me that eating this will be nowhere near as pleasurable as the anticipation of eating it. I'm in two minds whether to make one and share it or let it live on always in my mind, because I know the fantasy will always be far superior to the reality. Now, one thing I know is that smokers who quit smoking generally put on weight. So I'm wondering if craving food might be a side effect of quitting video games that isn't on the list from Hooked on Gaming. I know smokers tend to gain weight when they quit. However, a quick internet search seems to indicate that this is a well-researched subject, and the reason is that nicotine increases your metabolism by about 7% and acts as an appetite suppressant. So that potentially interesting line of research just died a death right there. And since ex-gamers haven't reported weight gain or food cravings as a withdrawal symptom, that dead idea can now be laid to rest once and for all. Or can it? A website on television tropes mentions addiction displacement as a recurrent theme where writers have their characters replace one addiction for another. However, this doesn't seem to be a thing when I look at scholarly articles on addiction or check forums where people are quitting an addiction. So to be fair, I'll see how I manage to resist the urge to game despite resisting my calorie cravings. This, however, is reinforcing my belief that while I may not be addicted to video games, I most certainly am addicted to food, and since I'm finding the video game challenge ridiculously easy to do, maybe I'll turn up the heat on the challenge by trying to lose weight as well. Actually, yes, typing the script for this video has made up my mind that rather than giving to temptation to make pizza burger, I'm going to practice losing some weight in anticipation of my diet, which starts on February the 1st. Let's see how I get on with two challenges at the same time. So for the rest of January, no video games and reduced calorie intake. In preparation for that decision, I just weighed myself and I'm 127.4 kilograms or 281 pounds, down from my personal highest, which was on the 31st of December 2018, of 131.5 kilograms or 290 pounds. That's a loss of 4.1 kilograms or 9 pounds, simply from returning to my normal routine. Bear in mind, our weight can fluctuate by plus or minus at least a kilogram, depending on when we last ate or how much fluid we drank, but that's still an indisputable drop of at least 2 kilograms or 4.4 pounds, and could explain why I'm craving that pizza burger. This brings me rather nicely to the topic of today's video, which is comorbidities. According to the website Very Well Mind, the term comorbidity was coined in the 1970s by A.R. Feinstein, a renowned American doctor and epidemiologist. Feinstein demonstrated comorbidity through the example of how people who suffered from rheumatic fever also usually suffered from multiple other diseases. Since that time, comorbidity has come to be associated with the presence of multiple mental or physical illnesses in the same person. The term comorbidity is cause neutral. It doesn't imply that one disease causes another. It only asserts that two or more diseases exist in the same person, often at the same time. When diseases are said to be comorbid, it does mean that if a doctor is aware that a patient presents with one of the diseases, the doctor should be on the lookout for the other. It doesn't guarantee that the other will be present though. A famous example of this is type 2 diabetes and morbid obesity. Now, there are people who are morbidly obese but still have no sign of type 2 diabetes, and there are people who have type 2 diabetes despite having a BMI that is in the healthy range. However, there is a much greater prevalence of type 2 diabetes in people who are morbidly obese than in the rest of the community. Now, it could be said that one disease does cause another or make the patient more vulnerable to the other, or it could be just that both diseases have a common genetic or environmental cause. In any case, comorbid disorders often feed off each other in a negative way, making both conditions worse. Some common mental health comorbidities include, but are not limited to, ADD or ADHD or antisocial personality disorder, various anxiety disorders, and various forms of depression. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse website, as much as 50% of people who experience a mental illness will also have a drug addiction. The question then is, how does this relate to gaming addiction? The La Guana Treatment Hospital website states that there are two main reasons why people's gaming becomes problematic. They are either 1. They have no real personal problems but are chasing a high from the rewards that come from gaming, for example leveling up or getting a new piece of gear or weapons or improving self-esteem by ranking up in league tables. We have already seen in previous videos how video games directly affect the mesolimbic reward pathways. Or 2. Playing games in order to escape from real-life problems, for example physical or mental or relationship or financial problems. It is this second category that is interesting from the perspective of comorbidity. There could be a higher incidence of mental or physical health problems in those with problem gaming than in the rest of the gaming community, if some gamers are using games as a form of self-medication to ameliorate the unpleasant symptoms of their comorbid disorder. And while this might not seem like such a bad thing on the surface, the danger is if this pattern of behaviour becomes self-reinforcing. On the one hand, gaming to relieve stress or anxiety, or to make the feelings of grief or depression more bearable, is, at least in my mind, a better option than antidepressants, which come with their own dangers of addiction and associated health problems, and a considerably better option than turning to other vices like tobacco, narcotics, alcohol, solvent abuse, eating disorders, gambling addiction or shopping addiction. And if that is as far as it goes, then non-problem gaming is a positive and healthy way to cope with emotional or mental problems. However, if the gaming then leads to more problems, such as a drop in grades at school, social isolation, mounting debt, poor work performance, unhealthy lifestyle, for example lack of physical exercise, poor personal hygiene or unhealthy diet, then there is a danger of a self-reinforcing feedback where the more the gamer games to escape life's problems, the worse those problems get, and so the more the gamer games until something happens to break that vicious cycle. If you feel that your gaming might be becoming a problem, then why not take my month challenge? Remember, it can be any month and you don't have to start on the 1st. Why not post a comment and let me know how you're doing, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But as for me, hopefully soon to be slightly less fat, hairy, 19 days and counting non-gamer, I'll look forward to seeing you in another video.